let me do this intro real quick. Let me talk to the people and apologize for the fact that it took me like, another month before I got this episode going. All right. So to the people of YouTube, I apologize. And to those who don't care that it took a month, I apologize. I'm super excited right now. This is episode 3 of the OGIS podcast. And with me to the left here, I have Ethan. He is currently a UCCS student studying
electrical engineering.
Amazing. And we bumped into each other. And I asked him to come on because I don't know anything about his field. And I'm hoping to learn a little bit about what he does. And also, he is a really deep young man, a religious young man. And I figured he would be a really good conversation. So, Ethan, would you like to introduce yourself?
I would. So, yeah, my name is Ethan. I've been at UCCS for 1 year at this time. But before then, I was at Pikes Peak State College. Just kind of taking some different like core classes and stuff like that. I really didn't want to go to college at first, but we can get into that in a little bit. But yeah, through some various events, I kind of got led there, and it's been an experience. So I'd say college has been interesting, but not kind of everything about me. I work at this hydroponics company, which if you're not familiar with hydroponics, that's essentially growing plants, but the nutrients of the plants is in the waters that the plants are fed. And so you can have this really fruitful garden in your pantry, and it's just getting juiced that way. I'm dating the most wonderful woman I've ever met, and that's a story we can talk about if you want. But yeah, that's a crazy God story. And I think that's honestly the best way today is when the person, you don't find the person, you don't put all this work towards finding a person, you just kind of come together. You turn to your left and you're like, oh my gosh, like we're walking life together and we didn't know it. Yeah, I'm the oldest in my family, and I don't know how much more I really should share, but that's kind of, it's a brief overview of myself.
I see. So can we start with like college?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
All right, cool. So you said you didn't want to go to college at first.
Yeah.
So what are the events that led to you deciding to go to college?
Yeah.
And then why did you choose electrical engineering?
Okay. Yeah. So let's see. So I graduated high school, and I had taken like 1 or 2 business classes. I was concurrently enrolled with PPCC for a little bit at that time, and I had just like really bonded with business and leadership in business, and so I decided, like I really would like to start a business naturally. And at the time, I was getting into computer coding and all this different stuff, really game design. And I was working with virtual reality, coding VR games and stuff like that. But just as I began to deepen my relationship with God, which we can get into in a little bit, because that's a deep rabbit hole. I started to lose taste for the virtual reality, and I wanted more relationships. So I was like, I'm gonna take this idea of a business and I'm gonna tuck it away. And my mom had always been like, hey, like college is really important. I mean, that was the reason I was concurrently enrolled in all these different things. And so I just applied for UCCS along with several different other colleges, and just like applied for a bunch of different scholarships, and then kind of forgot about it, to be honest. About halfway through the summer, I had like kind of thought a little bit about college, but I was really just focused on friends, relationships, just connecting with God and all these different things. And I had surrendered it. I was like, if I'm meant to go to college, then that way will open up. It will become really easy for me to get there. If I'm not, then it's not going to happen. And I opened up my UCCS portal one day, and college was paid for. There was either via scholarships or grants or stuff like that. And I was shocked, because I was like, I do not deserve this. This is unrealistic. I did not have a 4.0 GPA. Like I was like a A- B student. And I to be honest, I BS'd my way through high school and all those applications and all this stuff. Like I did not care one bit about any of this. And unfortunately, I think that's a lot of what they want to hear with these scholarship applications and stuff. They're like, what do you care about this stuff? And it's like, and so if you know what they want to hear, you can kind of tell them that. And I don't know what happened, but anyway, I ended up at college and just kind of there. And I was initially mechanical engineering, but through a bunch of different conversations, I was just like, I was not having it. I was like, this is good and all, but it feels like I'm working on a tiny piece of a really big thing, which is essentially what mechanical engineering is. It's designed for machines. It's like, all these mechanical engineers are in one big room and we're going to build this big machine. And I was like, I want to start a business. I still had that dream in mind. And I was like, my motto I've kind of used with that is solving problems with products. I want to be able to design and engineer a product to solve a problem, whatever that may be. And mechanical engineering was just not doing it. So I had several different conversations, which is, motivated by my mom. My mom's always been like pretty close and a huge motivating factor in my life, for good or for worse. And so she was like, hey, like you should have some good conversations with the dean, like, and then, and just like, yeah, talk to him about more direction and stuff. So I ended up meeting with the dean at UCCS in the engineering field, talking to him about like, what do you kind of think, and help me get more information, more insight, more perspective. And he gave me 3 different other numbers or different contacts at UCCS. And so I had different conversations with them, and I eventually decided to switch to electrical engineering because it's a lot more product but focused. With electrical engineering, you're working on a little bit of everything. It all comes together. And my past history with like coding and all this stuff, they're like, hey, yeah, you'd probably be really, really good and succeed in here. So I picked it up, and that's kind of what I've just been doing for this last semester. But yeah.
That's pretty cool. So when you were deciding even to start mechanical engineering, was that like the first thing that came to mind, or?
Yeah. So ever since I was little, it's your typical story. Like I was like always kind of a tinkerer. I love taking stuff apart and not necessarily putting it back together and all these different things. But what essentially stopped me from pursuing engineering when I was little and going more down the rabbit hole of coding was that it was free. Like with game design, you've got a physical world, a sandbox, if you will, that you can mess around with and tinker with, and it's all free. You can create what you want, and the only limitation is what your computer kind of has. And so entering a university setting, these different like aspects were paid for. So I was able to broaden kind of what was already there with funding now, if that makes sense.
I see. And you started off at Pikes Peak State College.
I did, yes.
And is that where you decided at first for mechanical, or were you just doing just the basics for college in general?
Yeah. So there I was just, doing the basics for college, all those core classes, English, history, all that stuff. And then I took like an engineering class, and I had this really cool experience with 3 other guys who we just kind of got put on a team. And man, I wish I could remember all their stories, but they had cool backgrounds, and just I was able to connect with them and hear a lot of wisdom and see like, wow, like it was encouraging to be around this good community like that was pushing me towards growing in the engineering direction and stuff.
So what would you ultimately like to do with electrical engineering? So let's talk about the hydroponics that you do right now. How did you get into that?
So let's see. that is a little bit of a story. So I found out I was working at this coffee shop and I found out that they were closing for a month because of some weird veto laws with the U.S. and because they had immigrated from Britain to the U.S., and their veto had expired for them to be salespeople, and it had gotten delayed and all these different complications, but they were going to be closed for at least a month. And so I was like, well, I got my 2 weeks notice, and I was like, I'm going to start looking for a job. And later that day, I think my mom texted me. I was like, hey, there's this cool hydroponics company at our church right now. Like, can I connect you? And so I ended up having my interview with them like the next week. And literally, like, it was like 3 days after the coffee shop job ended, I was working at the hydroponics place. And just, open door after open door, like super easy, non-resistant. Like, it was very clear, like, this is where I'm meant to be going right now. And so I got started there. I mean, my mom kind of gave me the connection, if that makes sense. I've talked a little bit about her and how she's helped me out in those different areas. But, like taking the responsibility, like, hey, I'm actually going to schedule this meeting. I'm going to do these different things. And then, I mean, praying about, is this the direction to be going in? Is this a distraction or something like that? But just the open doors pretty easily, like, confirmed that for me.
I see. And, did you know much about hydroponics before getting into this, or did you learn everything on the job?
So I learned quite a lot on the job. My current position there is actually research and development for help, like, developing an off-grid power system to run the hydroponics tower and stuff. So we're like experimenting with different forms of power. It's cool. There's a lot I can't actually talk about because it's new technology.
Okay.
But yeah, so we're like researching and developing different ways to power this or light this tower.
I see. So can we talk a little bit about hydroponics?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because I have another friend who works in hydroponics. Yeah, his name is Chase.
Oh, that's...
And he had sent me like, hey, he had sent me like a survey, because what he had sent me was, if you were to have like a hydroponic system, where would you want it? In the kitchen?
Oh, that's...
You know what I mean? Because some of them make noise, right?
Yeah.
And he sent me a survey about that, and would you be bothered by the noise that the system would be making?
Yeah.
And trying to find ways to create a hydroponic system that would make as little sound as possible so that it doesn't, annoy the people who own the system.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, when you guys are first building a hydroponic system, what is the first thing you guys think about when you're starting to put it together, and what does that look like? I think, what is the foundation of the hydroponic system?
I think it's the water dynamics. If you had to ask me, it's how you bring the water up to... I mean, our system probably works different than a bunch of others, but we pump the water to the top of the system, and then my boss, he used to be like a hydrologist and looked at a lot of fluid dynamics, and so he knew exactly how to get the water so it flowed from the top of the source down and watered each of the pods on the way down, and the excess water would water the next pod, and so on and so forth. And so I think it really comes down to the water being the core of a hydroponics business or tower. Because if you can get that to water each and every pot, then you can get that to transfer the nutrients. And if you can get that to transfer the nutrients, then, I mean, all you have to do is light the plants and keep it all going.
Okay. And that sounds like, I understand a little bit of it.
Yeah.
But it sounds like there's multiple layers in a hydroponic system, right?
Yes. So, I can kind of paint the picture. So essentially what this looks like is you've got this base where it's this tank where you typically put a couple gallons of water. And then there's like a pump in there or something that's pushing the water up. And the way our towers work is it's this like, it may be about 6 foot tall tower with several different pods going down. And as the water pumps up, as it flows down, it waters from top to bottom all these different pods. And the pods are typically like, about that big. And they've just got like a little germinated plant in there. There's a germination process that occurs before you transfer the plants to their pods in this tower. But to keep it growing, you water them and stuff. And it's about 6 feet tall, and there's layers with there may be about like 4 inches of each row of plants. And so our towers, they're like 6 feet tall, right? But then we typically have like up to 4 of these towers on one tank of water. And that allows it so, you can just duplicate the amount of plants you're getting on like one pump. Each of these towers, with a system like that, you can get like 100 plants with just 6 feet of storage. So, of course, you have to harvest it, but by hand. We got these little clippers.
I see.
Pretty cute.
Yeah. And then how do you maintain? So you said water them, but that's the point of the hydroponic system.
Exactly.
It's automatic water.
Yes.
Right? Okay.
So, yeah, the maintenance just honestly requires trimming up the plants. And so, our system, we've developed it to be like hyper efficient and stuff. And right now we're just a startup, actually. So you can't find them online and stuff, but mind if I plug it?
Yeah, go ahead.
It's called Lifeponic Systems or Solutions, Lifeponic Solutions. So eventually they'll be released. We're looking at a release date sometime in the next month or so. And the goal is to have them like in everybody's pantry, which is really cool, right? But the way we've developed it is that the efficiency of them is essentially like you got to trim these plants ideally every day, but more realistically, it's like every week. And if you average it out, you get about 1.5 ounces of spinach, lettuce, whatever you're growing per day. And for reference, your typical like salad meal is 3 ounces of lettuce. And so that's remarkably efficient. And that's only for one tower. So if you had, say, a 2-tower solution, you could get a full salad, and that could feed a whole person. And so it's this remarkably efficient kind of solution for what we've seen, the different market that it's in.
Yeah. And have you guys tested, what are some of the tests you've ran with your system? Like, what are some of the plants you've grown or food sources you've grown?
So it's cool. We have staff lunches every day that we we use the salad and stuff.
Okay.
I can attest, like, it's actually really good.
That's cool.
Yeah, exactly. And it's free. It's like my boss doesn't have to feed everybody. And it's perfect. Like, I don't have to bring a lunch too, which is really cool. But so, my boss calls it a kingdom company. Like, it was given to him in prophetic revelation by God, a dream actually. And so from there, he kind of built up the company and to where it is now. And God said, start with greens, start with the green stuff, the basics, and then work from there. And so we're at the point in the development where now we're working on like peppers and squash and stuff. The other day we were growing zucchini. Actually, no, we can't grow zucchini because apparently it spreads really, really fast. So it will take over your whole like room in like a week. So
is there odor?
Sometimes. So we were,
because that's one of the things I was thinking about is like, if you're constantly having water running, how do you keep your system clean?
Yes.
Without it like odor taking up the whole room.
Yeah, you don't want your plants to get rotten. So
right.
Where I've kind of hopped in is more recently, but from what I've seen is they've developed like a whole filtration system with the pump as well, and it is relatively odorless. We just have them all throughout the office, and it doesn't stink. However, we were experiencing. This is kind of a funny story. We were experimenting with some different like growth enzymes, like how can we grow these like even better and faster, and we were experimenting to try to get more like vitamins and minerals in with the stuff, and we used this one and it just stank the whole place up. It smelled like someone just busted some cheese like all over the place, and it was nasty. But aside from that one experiment, there actually is no smell whatsoever. It actually smells quite nice. The plants have the nice kind of humidity effect, and it's just nice. Oh, but this is, I think, kind of more of an answer to your question. With our towers, the water doesn't actually run constantly. It's not constantly running the water. It's like 15 minutes twice a day. And so it keeps the plants fresh and gives them water. I mean, you don't water your house plants all the time, and so why should you water as anything else that way? So that's kind of what we ended up figuring out.
And when you were talking to me about the salad or is it lettuce that you're growing that grows that quickly?
Yeah, so I think it's mostly lettuce.
Okay.
But we've got stuff like Swiss chard and some spinach and arugula is the other one.
And they're growing that fast on a daily basis?
On a daily basis. And so, I mean, obviously you're not like harvesting the whole tower every day. You get like leaves like that big. It still might be like 1.5 ounces of little baby leaves, but you're maybe harvesting the bottom layer on that first day, and then the next day you're harvesting the one up. And so this one's growing. So by the time, like a week later, this one's back to where it can be harvested again. But in reality, you're growing these to where you have to harvest them every week or every other week, because it is growing remarkably fast.
And then where do you get the seeds from for, these greens?
Yeah, we've got a couple wholesale relationships with different companies and stuff. But yeah, that's basically it. I'm not super familiar with that whole process. I mean, we're still kind of in those startup phases, and so yeah. But right now, it's just a wholesale relationship. Apparently, you have to have like a permit to sell seeds, and so we don't sell our own yet. But we probably will get to that point in some eventual date.
I was just thinking about it. Can you put it in the garage? But then the garage is dirty.
So we're yes and no. Some plants, like, it depends on the climate. So like a lot of climates are going to be really cold in the garage. That's going to cause a lot of plants to die. But like spinach, for example, really likes the cold, and so it could thrive probably in the garage. I mean, not in like a winter in like Alaska, but you probably could.
Like right now, because it's about to be summer.
Yeah, exactly.
Could you grow all the plants that you guys have at work in the garage?
At that point, you might be worried about heat, but theoretically, yes. So if you have a relatively climate-controlled environment, I say absolutely. I think the dirt and stuff isn't a huge problem. At that point, you might be worrying about bugs and stuff like this, but if it's relatively protected and stuff, you should be totally fine.
And then, damn, I just lost what I was about to ask.
Oh, you're good.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
Yeah,
I literally had a question that I wanted to ask, but I completely just freaking spaced out.
You're good.
Okay, so in terms of like products, so right now you work in research.
Mm-hmm.
What are you researching for your job, or is that the part that you
that's
talk
the
about?
Intellectual property that I can't really talk about?
Okay.
Mostly it's like the off-grid stuff, like how can we run this if power gets struck or something. I mean, in California they were having power outages as soon as everybody was getting electric cars, and like all their power was just going through the roof, and so they didn't have enough to keep up. And so like how can we escape that if it becomes more than a California problem in a sense? So that's kind of been more my research and development.
So how you keep the system running is through plugging it in?
Yes, and ideally the rest of your house. So it's more than just the hydroponic system. It's also like a prepare to readiness role as well.
So what's really interesting about the power usage was I watched so I like Lex Friedman's podcast.
Okay.
And he did an episode with Jeff Bezos.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
And Jeff Bezos was talking about the more power we're using is actually better for like humans, because if we're using more power, then it means that we're running efficiently. Like we're running things that need power because they're helping us.
Interesting.
Do you know what I mean? What I'm trying to say?
I think I understand.
So he was saying basically, right, like all these lights in here.
Yeah.
They need a lot of power.
Yeah.
Right? Like we have humidifiers in there.
Yeah.
We have
Heating, air
heating in
conditioning,
there.
all that.
All of that. It needs a lot of power.
Yeah.
But that's made our lives better.
I see what you're saying, because it's making it cheaper. It's like a business problem at that point. It's not necessarily an environment or economic kind of question. It's more, it's the
Right. So
business.
if we have a bunch of electrical cars, that means we're not using as much gas.
Yeah.
Right? But that means we need more energy output.
Yeah.
So that lessens how much gas we need to run stuff.
I see. Yeah. And so of course it's gonna make the electricity cheaper, and like it will help the market in that sense.
Right.
From a business perspective, which is cool. I guess that makes sense.
Yeah. And I loved that episode. I rewatched that episode.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. I loved that episode so much because I was like, damn, because at first he thought he was going to be a physicist, I think.
Yeah.
And this is a man that developed maybe Steve Jobs is the godfather, baby, of all of these mother effers now,
Yeah.
Steve Jobs is the godfather,
It's
I used to work at the Apple store on Briargate.
okay.
And just the learning experience as to why Apple is so successful.
Interesting.
It's sick.
Yeah.
It's actually sick, dude.
I bet that's
when
cool, yeah.
they explain to you why the screen is put at a certain angle for the customer's viewing experience, why the tables are at the level they're at, so that everything is about invitation to be intrigued by the product. And you see what I'm saying?
I love the psychology behind all that.
Absolutely, bro. And you think about it, who else does the services that Apple does?
Yes, exactly.
What other computer phone company has a store for you to go into, schedule an appointment, and get your phone fixed in store?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so learning the reasons why. Oh, so this is why everybody loves Apple.
Interesting.
And why they can afford to kind of mess with people with the price a little bit.
Yeah.
Because it's, hey, you're not just getting a great product, you're getting all the services that come with the Apple products.
Yeah.
When you have an issue with your phone, you can come into our store and we have a genius bar.
Yeah.
Right? We have people who can look at the phone and get it fixed in store for you, and you can come pick it up. Samsung doesn't have a service like that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? You have to go through a phone carrier.
Yep.
If you have, a computer, you may have to go to Best Buy to their Geek Squad. Apple has their own store for everything.
Yeah, interesting. They keep it all contained.
Right.
Wow.
You see what I'm saying? And I loved it. I remember leaving my first day of training thinking, Apple's got some ish, where they were like, basically like, I think Apple was the first $1 trillion company.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember something, or they were trying to become the first. They were on track to become the first $1 trillion company.
That's cool.
And I was like, wow, that makes a lot of sense. That makes a lot of freaking sense. And I was like, and this was a lot of like Steve Jobs and his obsession. It was an obsession for him.
Yeah.
As to like, it was all about the customer experience. Everything was customer. And I saw the same thing with Jeff Bezos.
Interesting.
He wrote like an email or something about, their statement. Then the word customer basically came up like 500 times or something crazy.
Yeah.
Because everything that was being done for the business was all about the customer experience. Like, and he talked, like in the podcast, he talked about how he was saying 50 years from now, people are not going to say, damn, Jeff, I wish Amazon didn't have overnight delivery.
Yeah.
Damn, Jeff. I wish, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I wish there wasn't Amazon Prime so that I could get my products faster. Or I wish products were just a little more expensive. No. You know what I mean?
Very interesting.
The customers are going to want the best experience every time they go on Amazon, and they're going to want the best deals.
Yeah.
So everything you do has to be customer based, not about bottom line.
Yeah.
Because repeating business is your bottom line.
Yeah.
If I keep coming to your store, I'm going to keep spending money.
Exactly.
So you won't have to worry about the spending. What you need to worry about is providing the customer with the best services and the best products for the most efficient amount of cost.
Yeah,
right?
I've heard it put somewhere like the best customer is the one you already have.
It is.
Like, instead of trying to win over more and more customers, focus on the ones you have now.
Right.
Make them feel super great, and they'll do the rest.
Yes.
They'll run your business in some form, but exactly how you want. It's really interesting.
Yeah, I just loved that episode, bro.
Yeah,
I genuinely could, when when he was talking about the energy and the fact that we need more energy, if we're using more energy, that's better for us, because that means we're coming up with things that need that type of firepower, which means efficiency is the result of the amount of energy being put into this.
I see.
And I was like, wow, I see why this dude was doing up Amazon, to transition from wanting to become a physicist to creating Amazon, and I love that picture of him in a small office, with the Amazon written on like a giant stretched out paper, that he put on the wall. And like, I was just like so happy for him. I was like, you know what, man, like, you see Amazon now, but you don't realize that Jeff started out selling books. And now he's working on building spaceships to explore outer space. And, you'll see these comments about, why don't we just focus on Earth? And I get that part as well. But then I'm also like, I'm going to keep it a buck, man. I didn't work my ass off to get to this level to stay on this planet. To the victor goes the spoils.
Interesting. I see. Yeah.
That's real stuff here.
Yeah.
Right? It's like when, billionaires have a $30 million house and someone says, I would never buy a house that's $30 million. That's because you haven't done something that could afford you the luxuries to buy a $30 million house if you feel like it. You don't need a $30 million house, and you don't need to go to space. But you also don't need a car.
You
know what I mean?
I think I do. Where it's kind of the reward of that effort is you got to expand your domain.
Exactly. And like, the reason, I appreciated that so much, because like, he's really into space exploration,
Okay.
And I have this whole thing with Elon Musk. I know you're a religious guy. I want to talk to you about that. Because Elon Musk is the only like person that I'm like, damn, I don't really know, dude. And like, people have different opinions on him, and he can feel like a volatile person. And I'm just like, that guy is somebody that I would genuinely love to have a sit down conversation with. More than anybody in the entire world right now, I think if I could speak to one person, it would be Elon Musk and Shaun White.
Shaun White.
Yeah. Well, that is two completely different things. But I'm like, Elon Musk and Shaun White. And I had a moment that made me go, damn, I see why this dude is so hell-bent about space.
Yeah. And interesting.
But we'll talk about that, because I really want to talk to you about that. But yeah, like, I really appreciated how, like, Jeff, he calls himself an inventor. I mean, Amazon was an invention.
Yeah, that's interesting. I don't know a whole lot about Jeff. That's cool.
I didn't know anything about Jeff until I listened to this podcast, And to learn, that's what I'm saying is like,
Yeah.
it's interesting to learn about these people who are at this level, you know, because sometimes all you see is the finished product, which is the top of the mountain, but you don't realize that 98% was nothing but like, hell.
Yeah.
You know, when Elon Musk says like starting a business is like chewing on glass.
Yeah.
You know, like there's nothing fun about this, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
You know, we benefit from somebody else going through hell.
Yeah. It's a very interesting parallel. Yeah. That's a good point. It carries into so many different aspects of life. Like, yeah, our benefit is a direct influence of someone else's dedication, hard work, all these different things. Like their sacrifice, they genuinely may never get to reap the benefits of.
Yeah.
To their fullest extent, absolutely.
Right. And like you may see the monetary rewards, but what about the emotional side of things? What about the relationships that had to like that had to be forsaken, that had to be set aside? You know, athletes, LeBron, Kobe.
Yeah.
So that you can win your fantasy basketball, you can win your ESPN bets, so that he can drop 30 a night. He had to like let his wife take care of everything at home and live in the gym for 20 plus years. You know, like LeBron's life has been in literal spotlight since he was 14, 15 years old.
But at what cost?
You know what I'm saying?
I think
you can't stroll down the street to just go get a Starbucks. You can't just take your kids just down the road to get a Starbucks, to get some tacos and feel like you and I just popping up on this couch.
Yeah.
You know, and like looking at their lives from here, we're just like, damn, I wish I had that.
But in reality,
right?
Like who am I to say that like I want that, but I don't want that? You know, I want where they're at, but I
don't want the work that comes with it.
Exactly. The dedication. You have to be so externally motivated or internally motivated.
It's internal.
Yeah.
It's internal.
Yeah. Which is so interesting. It's unfair in different aspects of life, you know?
You know what? Let's get into that, because you wrote on here, you were like, so let me ask you, what you were, you wrote down a question about motivation, right?
Yeah.
So right now for you, what motivates you in life, you know, with education? Like you're in finals right now. You're working a job.
Yeah.
What motivates you to do all of this? And how do you navigate yourself?
Man, that's a deep question that I just honestly don't have like a complete answer to right now. I think you've got the basic stuff, right? Like, oh man, I want to be at a place where I can provide for my future family. I want to be at a place where like other people look at me and be like, wow, like I'm thankful for what he sacrificed so that I can succeed in this way and shape and stuff. But I want to be obedient to what God is calling me to. I want to walk in this obedience that says, okay, like even if I don't have the motivation right now, I trust that it will come. You know, I trust that the reward will come even if I have no idea what it is. And even if it doesn't on this side of eternity, like I trust that there will be that better day, you know? I think my motivation comes down to trust. If I had to sum it all up in one word, what gets me up in the morning, what makes me live the life that I live day to day, it's trust in God.
You're a pretty religious guy, huh?
Well, yeah. We can go down that direction after.
Let's do it, bro. So,
yeah,
because you've talked about God quite a few times, right? So did you grow up going to church?
Okay, so I'll start by kind of just dropping this. This is something that I kind of found for myself last year, honestly. And it was, I was raised in the church and stuff, but I knew God. He was like this figure in my mind. Like I thought I knew what he was, what he wanted, all these different things. And it's how the world portrays God. You know, it's like you got to please him. You got to like work for him. And last year I realized that this is something that man has created. This idea of God is something that man has created. Religion is something mankind has created. Relationship is something God made. And I was like, I want relationship with God. And so truthfully, what happened is I was going through a pretty rough breakup at the time. I had put literally my whole identity into this other girl. And when we broke up, for some various different reasons, I was torn. If you put your identity completely into something and then you lose that thing, what happens? You either commit suicide or you reevaluate everything in your life. And praise God, I reevaluated everything in my life. And I called every single person in my life that I knew that was a mentor to me. And I said, hey, or that I saw as a mentor, like anywhere from like 5 years older than me to like 80. And I said, hey, what do I do in this situation? What do I do? All these different things. They were like, pray about it, think about it. And in the end, they were like, I think you should get back together. It was kind of the answer that I kind of manifested out of my own opinion. And so I ended up getting back into this relationship with this girl for 2 weeks, and it was awful. I just decided, like, I cannot do this anymore. It's tearing me apart. It was so clear that it was just not for me, you know? And so coming out of that, I would literally sit and watch sunsets with God for hours, just hours. I didn't really start by reading the Bible. I didn't start by going to church, all these different things. At the time I was going to this pretty like liturgical church, which just means they followed a script in a sense. They'd like, okay, like let's read off the projector and like, let's all say this prayer at the same time and these different things. And something in me just could not connect with it. I was like, I don't want this. It goes back to that relationship. And so I just kind of would sit down. I would just watch these sunsets with God. And I don't know how else to explain it, except like he was just there. And I was just sitting there watching it with him. And I just over time, I just started to grow deeper and deeper in that relationship. And so this is how I kind of knew how to build a relationship. During that time I was dating that my ex, I heard a bunch of different quotes. Eventually, what caused us to break up, and this is where it gets really cool. She said, "You shouldn't have to try to love me," right? This was kind of what shattered everything in my view, and I was like, I have not known anything different. How can you not try to love someone else? How can you not try and anything happen? And at that time, I look back now and I'm like, that was God saying that to me. I'm like, through her in that really hostile environment, all that tension, all that different stuff, like God was communicating a message to me that said, you shouldn't have to try to love me. And I was like, okay, well, first off, like, I want to love you. I think this is the direction I'm supposed to go. I think this is where life is, all these different things. But I don't know what truth is. My whole reality was just blown up. I put my whole identity in this one thing and it was just taken away from me. And then I also, I don't know how to love you. And it's crazy. I just was sitting there watching one of these sunsets and God just showed me. He's like, this is how you love me. Like, you spend time with me. Love grows when you spend time with someone. when your relationship with someone grows as you just do life together, just spend time together. And from that point, I mean, it's a crazy story. I could tell you day by day, there has not been a time where I have not, it might not feel it like that during the day, but there has not been a day where I have not seen the hand of God. I look back and it's like, man, that day, I felt like I was the farthest from God that day. Whether it be like, man, like I was a butt cheek that day and I was not doing some good stuff, but the hand of God was all over that.
Let me ask you.
Yeah.
So this is something that I've thought about for a while. Is, and this is like a multiple part question.
Yeah.
So my issue with the whole God thing, is people tend to associate God with a male figure.
Interesting.
You know what I mean?
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
And this, like, and I'm just like, has anybody ever questioned that God may not be male or female, but just like an existence that's way beyond that?
Yeah.
It's like, think about this. You create a game.
Yeah.
You create a computer.
Yeah.
You're kind of part of the thing you created.
Yeah. Absolutely. You got your fingerprints all over it.
Exactly. But, you create the system that's supposed to be an oiled machine and run by itself.
Yeah.
But you're not in it.
Yeah.
Because you're way beyond it.
Yeah, exactly. You've created it. You're in it, but your existence
is outside of it.
Is outside. Exactly. Yeah. Which is a cool way to think about it. Yeah.
So why is it that people always put like, because I've heard somebody call it a heavenly grandfather.
Interesting.
Like not like a dad.
Yeah.
But like a grandfather, because like a grandparent isn't directly involved, but they just kind of feed you like
interesting
all the life experience and knowledge.
Yeah.
And they really love on you.
Yeah.
So that's my issue with that is
that's
like
interesting.
I just got an issue with people just making it out to seem that one God is just masculine.
I think this question gets a really, really deep, really fast, because I think to really understand why God is portrayed as a masculine figure, you have to understand what is masculinity, what is femininity. And you have to break it down to more than any of these roles, more than any, like, it's not about gender, it's about the heart behind it. It's like, as a man, I know that I have just a tendency, and this is personally, like I have more of a desire to be out in the woods, like to do more like kind of rough and tough kind of different things. And I'm not saying God is like that in any way, shape, or form. I think, to be truthful, that is probably more stereotypically influenced than anything else. But I think what's really cool is I think God is portrayed as a masculine figure surely out of good reasons. Like, he has got such a desire to pursue. If you look at the world, you try to, like, here, just bear with me for a second. You got to try to separate what you see going on around. And it's hard because you don't see this in America or anything like that. But, I mean, a woman's desire is to be pursued, is to be loved, is to be everything to someone, right? And a man's desire is similar in a way, but he's like, I want to be that everything for you, And if you think about God in that sense, I think you understand why he's portrayed as a masculine figure. It's not that, oh, he's a man or anything like that, because that totally invalidates the fact that he's God, but it explains why Jesus is man. It's because he's like, I'm showing you symbolically, like, that I want to pursue you. I want to be here to just be your everything. I want you to be like my everything. Like I love you so much. I mean, this gets into the gospel that I'm going to leave the God the Father and the Holy Spirit, gets into the Trinity here, come down to earth, humble myself, take upon the form of a man, of a human being, and then now walk among you, empathize with you, be tempted with you, which gets into free will, and then die for you.
So this is so out of pocket.
Yeah.
Do you think Jesus died as a virgin?
Oh, yeah. Undoubtedly. What do you think?
Yo, he had to.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then is sex a sin?
So
because how do you procreate without sex? And I mean, if Jesus died as a virgin,
yeah,
this is so out of pocket, bro.
Dude, I love it.
This is like the real question. You know what I'm saying?
I know what you're saying.
Because technically, and this is where I'm like, oh my gosh, because
yeah,
there's someone who is an influence in my life.
Yeah.
That I speak to about on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
Who believes Jesus was real.
Yeah.
And like his thing is, Jesus is the one figure throughout all of history that man, woman, all had accounts about.
Yeah.
Right? Because back in the day, like what women,
yeah,
like testimonies were
invalid. Yeah.
Invalid, discounted, and thrown aside. Right? So his thing is like, of course this mofo was real.
Yeah.
He is the only figure throughout all of history that women's accounts were taken.
Yeah.
And men's accounts.
And people outside of Jesus's friends, people that actually wanted to kill Jesus, have accounts of him being crucified. Because if he was crucified by the Romans, they would, of course, recorded this crucifixion, the date, the time, all these different things, different events that took place. And so when he rose on the third day, they were like, there were communications, letters back and forth between these different people saying, hey, we gotta figure something out here. This is gonna be a mess if we don't clean this up.
So then do you believe, so then that gets into favorites.
Yeah.
Do you, right? Because if we're all supposed to be children of God.
Yeah. Interesting.
Right? Because you have Muslims.
Yeah.
Who believe in the Prophet Muhammad.
Yeah.
Then you have Jesus.
Yeah.
And then, I grew up Mormon.
Okay.
Right? And you have Joseph Smith, who believes he's not God. So he starts his own religion.
Yeah.
Right? So my thing is, and it's the most humbling and ego-killing thing that I had to come to this conclusion of, like, you want to call it God, I call it the source. Because God is the word that is associated with this higher form of being, with this higher form of existence, that we could know a lot, we could know very little. We may think we know a whole lot, but that only comes from our experience.
Yeah.
And what we've been told. But then I'm like, okay, how much do we really know? And then, my thing is, when it comes to the Jesus thing, to say like Jesus was the son of God, and then you have Muslims who believe Muhammad, the prophet, right? So I'm just like, is God, loving indiscriminately? Does God love indiscriminately?
In what sense? Like what is the end goal of that love, I guess? Like, I mean, he wants everyone. Absolutely. He wants this relationship, and he wants everyone to be with him indiscriminately. Absolutely. I think this is, oh man, I've asked this question so many times and I've heard it answered so many times, but I mean, you can't have love without free will. And so the fact that like God in his sovereignty decided to like sacrifice some of his control over mankind and let them make their own decisions is what gives that love its authenticity, you know?
Right. Because I associate like human beings with AI a lot.
Oh, really?
Like long before this was a whole, before AI was a big thing.
Yeah.
Because humans literally we are artificial intelligence in a different form.
Yeah. The way we think is very similar. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because the purpose of AI is to absorb information and then spit out conclusion.
Right or wrong answer. Yeah. Yeah. Conclusions. Yeah, exactly.
That's human beings.
Yeah. Interestingly. Yeah. At a very basic kind of natural form. Yeah.
Right. We're fed a bunch of information.
Yeah.
We also absorb information through our experiences and our surroundings. And we come to conclusions, and then we spit out those conclusions in forms of conversation and experiments.
Yeah.
And then we just test and test and test and test and test. And that's what AI is. We're literally flesh computers.
Yeah.
Humans are literally just computers in skin.
Interesting. Well, at a very basic level, I would agree. Yeah.
Now, there's more to us because we feel.
Exactly.
But we're still a computer. We could be the next level of a computer.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's levels to computers. You have basic computers with minimal storage, RAM, and all of that. And then you just go up in price, up in, in specs.
Yeah, exactly.
And output.
Yeah.
So like that's how I thought of it, right? And I came to this conclusion.
Yeah.
So I've only told a few people about this. This was 2021. I drove on 2 tabs of acid from Boulder to Glendale. I swear, I can't make this up. Now, this was we were talking about like our experiences with God, and I want to ask you about this.
Yeah.
So this was one of those experiences, now that I look back at it, where in the moment I knew something was happening.
Yeah.
Because I got arrogant as fuck when I was driving home. I'm peaking on 2 tabs of acid.
Yeah.
And I feel so bad about this, but my then girlfriend, I told her I was going to drive home.
Yeah.
And she agreed to let me drive home. And I'm literally, I can't BS you, bro. When I said I want to drive home, before I could finish my sentence, my trip went from 100 to like 70, 80%. And I knew exactly what happened.
Yeah.
I didn't even question it. That's why I felt so comfortable driving home. Because I was like, I kind of gave it the like, I'm looking up around. Because I felt so special and so like arrogant at the same time. Because I was like, before I could finish the sentence, I want to drive home. My trip went from 100% to like 70, 80%. To like, it's probably like 80%.
Yeah.
It was to where like I can clearly, things are not like, I'm not peaking.
Yeah.
But I'm still tripping hard as fuck. But I'm still in my right mind. To like be okay, you know?
Yeah.
And that whole drive home, I could not believe how fucking beautiful it was. I swear to God.
Yeah.
I could not believe, because when I got on the road, it was right before sunset. It was right before sunset. I'm driving home, and this was also one of those experiences where we're going to let you do this one time.
Yeah.
But this is all you get.
This is all you get. Yeah.
Because I couldn't, like, when I got in my car, I could not fathom not making it home.
Yeah.
The sense of death just I couldn't fathom it. I couldn't, like, comprehend death in that moment.
Yeah.
Because I remember saying to myself, I will make it home.
Interesting. Yeah.
I swear, bro.
Yeah.
And I remember, have you ever been to Boulder?
Yeah.
So when like on your way back from Boulder, when you hit like Costco area,
I think so.
and then I think it's the First Bank Center, it's like an arena.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, like there's Costco, Target, and all of that.
Maybe
right outside of Boulder, and there's the bridge.
Maybe
but anyways, I get to that part of town.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I'm doing this. This is stupid as fuck. I know that my trip got turned down for me to drive. And this is also scary as shit.
Yeah.
But like for some reason, I couldn't fathom dying that day. And I'm coming into Denver. And in Ghana, there was a gaming center.
Okay.
Where you would go to this gaming center. They had Xboxes lined up.
Yeah.
Everywhere with a bunch of TVs.
That's funny. Yeah.
It's like if the homies all came over to the crib, lined up all the TVs in one room with Xboxes.
Oh my gosh, the stimulation. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So I remember that memory, and I used to write GTA cheat code notes.
Oh, really? Okay.
One thing about my life that's been consistent is notes. Ever since I was a kid, before I went to school, like even in Ghana, before I got put into school, I would just write notes.
Okay.
And I remembered the memory starting to come back. It was like a link chain of like connecting everything from my life, like was connecting on this drive. Yeah. And I remember like thinking to myself, life feels like GTA. I swear, it really felt like GTA, where you literally go out and you accomplish missions, you go home.
Yeah.
And then you just try and build your life from a t-shirt, jeans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then you just try and build it bigger, and bigger.
Yeah. And in the end, it's nothing.
You see what I'm saying?
Turn off the Xbox and it's all gone. Yeah.
And I remember it's right when you take, you see what I'm saying though? This is real shit, bro. I'm coming into Denver.
Yeah.
And it's when you take the right on the bridge.
Okay.
You know what I'm talking about? Like into Denver. Like you're coming into the city and you can see the buildings.
Yes. The skyscrapers and everything.
You see, bro, I'm tripping balls in this bitch in my car. Yeah. And I'm literally looking at this and I'm thinking of what my life was like.
Yeah.
And in this moment, how much danger I've put myself in, and how much danger I've put everybody else around me in, knowing that I'm peaking 2 tabs.
Wow.
And I'm thinking about the fact that like my girlfriend is already at the house because we took 2 separate cars.
Okay.
Because I wanted to drive myself. I drove to see her and I was driving back.
Okay.
And I'm thinking about all of this. And at the same time, I'm like, I'm living a fucking dream. This shit is fucking nuts, dude. I'm serious. And I was like, I really thought I'd just keep that shit to myself for the longest time. Because I was like, if that's not the universe kind of letting me get away with some bullshit just for the fuck of it. Because I still can't get over the fact that before I even finished my sentence, it got turned down.
Yeah.
It literally was like somebody...
Your life got spared in that second. Like,
literally. Before I finished the sentence, it was, we know what you're about to do. It's not your time yet.
Yeah.
We're going to turn it down a little bit because nobody's going to stop you from doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, even if I was peaking at 100, I was still going to drive.
Okay.
And so it was, we're going to turn this down.
Yeah.
Just enough for you to get the experience you want. Because I was acting like a fucking child, bro.
Yeah.
I was acting childish as fuck for like 8 months.
Me too. I know what that...
You know, like when you think you're a man because you think you can handle shit, but you're moving like a child because a man is disciplined.
Yes.
and like I was leaning into it right when that shit got turned down. I said, I'm obviously driving home. I just watched my trip get turned down in a matter of seconds. Less than seconds.
Yeah.
You know, so I felt so special in that moment.
Yeah.
That when I got home, like I literally was like, the sun is setting. I'm looking at orange skies. The buildings look pixelated.
Just, yeah.
It looks all pixelated, and the lights, everything looks so beautiful. And then I'm seeing the cars that are passing by. It looks like animated cars. You know, when like they animate cars, and then you see like the stream of
This
like car light.
Yeah, I know what you're.
It looked like I'm literally just seeing like car streak lights just passing me.
Wow.
And I'm just in this car like, yo, how did I even end up over here? But this is sick as hell. I'm living a movie.
Yeah.
You know? And I got home. And then like, I got home sobered up, you know? But I mean, not completely, but like, from where I started to where I was at when I got home felt like it was sober, you know? Because like, the amount of stress that I put myself into.
Yeah.
I had no choice but to like sober the fuck up.
Yeah.
By the time I got home, I'd say I was probably at like 50%, 40% when I got home.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at my girlfriend at the time, and I'm just thinking, multiple things. And I'm just like, fam, I don't know how to stop myself. And I don't know why I was spared today. But that was an actually insane experience. I'm serious, bro. Like, bro, and the thing is, it wasn't just like some lolly-da, like 2 tabs, bro. These are strong as fuck. Because I was hearing shit at the park. We went to the park outside to just chill on the grass. And I'm seeing all these figures in the air. And then I'm hearing a voice that goes, he figured it out. He figured it out. He figured it out. Bro, that's what I'm saying, bro. Like, I was in psychosis long before I got into psychosis. You know, so then I'm thinking to myself, in that moment, this is just like some existential bullshit. You know, because I was like, is somebody watching all of our lives? And is it just a figure?
Yeah.
That just like gives you the voice you want to hear? Because I felt like I was seeing like basically African ancestors in the air. You know, have you ever seen pictures of Africans with like the metal things around their neck?
I think so, yes.
I was seeing that in the air.
Okay.
I swear to God. And it was women.
Yeah.
You know, I was seeing that in the air, like the metal necklaces that like all stacked up on top of each other.
Yeah.
And then it comes up to
like
their neck.
Yeah.
I'm seeing that in the air.
Okay.
And I'm seeing like multiple figures.
Yeah.
You know, and then I'm hearing he figured it out. He figured it out. He figured it out.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to keep it together, and I'm feeling incredibly in danger.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Which is why I decided I'd drive myself instead of drive with her.
Yeah.
I was like, I'd rather take my life into my own hands than drive with her. Now, it could be because like our relationship just wasn't good, because I just kept fucking off. Like not anything other than just like, I just wasn't behaving.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
I know what you mean.
And I just was feeling endangered around her. And I was like, I'm going to drive myself home. I'm not getting in this car with her. This is a really good girl, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, but I just was like, I'm not getting in this car with you.
Yeah.
I'm going to drive myself home.
Yeah.
And then hearing the voices, it was freaky, bro.
Yeah.
It was freaky.
Of course you're going to feel so...
And these are vivid things that you don't forget about.
Yeah. Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Well, I mean, from how I see it is it's opening your eyes to stuff you're not supposed to ever have seen.
It's like saying, have you heard a saying? And it's fucking, dude, it's a thrill is what it is to me.
It's an adrenaline rush, I bet.
So have you ever heard the saying, if you gaze into the abyss long enough, the abyss starts to gaze into you?
I haven't heard of that, but it makes sense.
Like,
I mean, yeah.
if you keep looking into madness,
It starts to take you.
it creeps. It may be slowly,
That's the thing.
but it creeps.
It's slow.
It creeps. Until you're fully in it and you go, I may be in too deep.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and that's just one experience. That's
Yeah.
just one experience, bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's been so many in my life, bro, that like, this was maybe 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
4 months ago, maybe. I just had that moment, bro. I prayed. I actually prayed, bro. I was bawling my eyes out and reading this book, you know, and oh my God, bro, we could go in so many things about like God and the human collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And the fact that we all shared so many ideas, but it just takes a special person to either put it to paper, bring it to life, and so forth and so on. And I'm reading this book, and it's basically talking about multiple things that I've experienced personally or thought about.
What was the book?
It's called The Miracle Power for Infinite Riches, right?
Okay, yeah.
And one of the things that it was literally talking about in there was basically, we don't give form to anything. Anything you can think of, have ever thought of, ideas you've ever come up with, it's already been created. All you do is give life and form to it.
Interesting.
Right? So it's like when you try and imagine a house, the idea starts in your head.
Yeah.
And then you bring it to life.
The idea starts, and then you build up.
You give it form.
You give it form. You put action behind it. You put matter, words to it.
Yeah, you give it. You give it form, right?
Interesting. Yeah.
I remember literally having that thought. I was walking around in Boulder by myself, just lost in Boulder.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at the mountains and thinking to myself, the source of creation is an alchemist. Because I literally thought to myself, the earth is one giant experiment. Because we humans weren't here before the dinosaurs. Theoretically, if evolution, which we literally evolved from a fetus to a, what is it, fetus?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, we evolved from a fetus to fully realized human being.
I wouldn't use the word evolve, but we develop. We
develop.
grow.
Right. The earth itself, we know we weren't here when shit wasn't popping. There was nothing out here. Ice Age blows over, reforms the earth, and then new life comes in, and it's just waves of development on the planet. And I just remember thinking to myself, like, the universe literally, like, develops itself. And if there is something, an existence, it's just turned this existence, this plane, into a giant experiment. And it all made so much sense to me, because I was like, these mountains look so like disorganized, but they're so organized.
Yeah. Organized chaos.
You know what? Like, organized chaos, bro.
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking, how freaking amazing is it? Because you know how people say we're made in the image of God?
Yeah.
And I just remember thinking to myself, like, we'll just use the term God.
Yeah.
God is the ultimate alchemist, bro.
Interesting. Well, would you say we are an experiment if he is like in control, the creator? Like, I mean, you have control over what you create, right? To some degree. Whether you let go of that control is up to you. Whoa. I feel like to say that he's an experimenter would mean he like lets it go, like leaves it to itself, you know?
But wouldn't you say that is kind of the case a little bit? I mean, if you love something, you do allow it to go.
Yeah.
Because it's like you get a dog. You hug this dog so hard, so tight that you end up suffocating this dog.
Dang.
Because you're loving it. I love this dog so much. I love this dog so much. You don't let it go.
It's so tight. Yeah.
And now the dog is suffocated to death because you loved it.
You didn't let it go.
But you didn't let it go.
Interesting.
Let the dog roam around, get the zoomies, and do its thing.
Yeah.
We're not dogs.
Yeah.
But.
Well, and that goes to the free will. Like,
right.
You have to have the choice. Like, it's my choice whether I love or not. It's someone, by them holding on to me, is not giving me the choice to love them.
No.
And therefore, I can't love them.
Right.
Which is interesting. I see what you're saying now. Yes.
Right. And I just remember, like, bro, during that time in my life, bro, I'd never felt more loved.
Interesting.
And it was a time where I was busy literally tearing down all of my relationships. I was.
Yeah.
I was not scared of death. I was in a position where I was willing to fight anybody and anyone at any time. I didn't care about what happened to me.
Yeah.
But I had never felt more protected in my life.
Yeah.
And I look back at it, you know. This is real shit. I'll tell you. I opened my third eye. This is real shit. At a time where I'm in the middle of thinking to myself, I'm the loneliest motherfucker out here. You ever been in a relationship and you felt more lonely in the relationship than you did by yourself?
Yeah. It's a person's taking part of you. Yeah.
You could say that. And that's very true.
Yeah.
But there's also a part of it where it's on you.
Yeah.
So what happened?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
You know, what happened? And this, I swear to God, bro, I swear on my life, you would put a shotgun to my head and I'm sticking to this. This is so random, but like, at that time I was doing a lot of yoga naked.
Okay.
In my girlfriend's apartment. I would literally strip myself of everything and I would do yoga naked and meditate naked.
Okay.
I'm in the middle of meditating and she comes and gets me and she gives me a caramel apple. She was like, come here. And she's like, I got a caramel apple. You want one? And I'm like scared.
It's like
I'm so scared at this moment because I'm like, is she gonna poison me? Like, what?
Yeah,
no, I swear, bro. This is what that's so now.
That's so
you see what I'm saying? Because we had a movie crab right there. He had been having such like turmoil in our relationship back and forth, where like one moment she's like flipping shit on me, and the next moment we're cool.
I see.
That I was like, I can't trust this.
Yeah.
And I just finished yoga and I'm meditating.
Yeah.
And then she's like, I got a caramel apple. Come here. I'm going to give you a caramel apple.
Yeah.
I eat the caramel apple, bro. That is the most refreshing thing I've ever tasted in my effing life. I swear to God.
Oh my gosh.
I've never felt something more refreshing, bro.
Just an apple.
A caramel apple, bro. It was a green caramel apple.
What?
I'd go and sit back down
Yeah.
I go and sit back down, bro, and I'm meditating. It had to be like a minute or two into this.
Yeah.
And I literally remember what happened. So all of a sudden, I just literally, my eyes are closed.
Yeah.
And I'd never spoken about the third eye and all this crap.
Yeah.
Because it's like, what are we talking about? This could be stuff people make up on a daily basis. You know?
Exaggerated.
You know what I'm saying? And so I'd never, like, I literally, like, I'll tell you something that I'm pissed. I went and looked it up, like, this last year.
Yeah.
To see, like, to try and research it. And I was like, who the fuck are these people going to tell me about my third eye opening?
Yeah.
How are they going to know? And people who open their third eye ain't out here telling you how to open it. Because you just, in my opinion, I don't know if it was luck or not. You know, so I'm not going to go write a paper about telling you instructions on how to open your shit.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I can't believe this just happened to me.
Yeah.
And from like, it literally felt like a gate slammed at my, this is the Widow's Peak, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there and right when like I'm feeling it, I literally am feeling this happening and I lean my head forward because I was like, oh my God. And bam, it slams into each other and then it opens like a screen, like it open. So it like the doors like shut like this.
Yeah.
That would be vertically, right?
Yeah.
The doors slammed vertically and then it opened.
I see. Yeah.
It opened like this.
Yeah.
So it slammed horizontally.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then it opened vertically.
Dang. Okay. Yeah.
And then I see just a plain body of water. And then I see these black figures on something that's hovering over the water. And then it looked like a galaxy spinning on the water, bro.
Huh.
I swear, bro. I swear. And I literally, till this day, I'm my eyes are closed. I'm sitting there. And then I go, literally, just randomly out of nowhere. And I didn't open my eyes for a little bit. I opened my eyes too soon. That's another thing. But yeah, I go, because I was like, I can't believe I just did that shit.
Yeah.
I felt so childish, but I was like, I know exactly what the fuck that was.
Yeah.
You don't got to tell me what just happened. I know exactly what just happened, you know? And I just kept seeing a bunch of shit, but I kept trying to direct what I was seeing. That was the one feeling that I took away was, why was I trying to direct what I wanted to see when I had no control over it opening?
Yeah.
Instead of letting myself get shown.
Yeah, interesting.
Till this day, that's the one thing that, like, I don't regret it, but that was the one thing that, like, my ego came into play in the moment where my ego should have absolutely been dropped completely.
Yeah.
To allow the experience to come to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Instead, I had this moment, and then I thought that my willpower was going to control what I saw. Like, who the fuck this motherfucker think he is, you know? And also, I'm scared of my environment, and I don't want to open my eyes, but I'm scared as fuck.
Yeah.
So I open my eyes, and it goes away.
Yeah.
Real shit, bro.
Yeah.
It goes away. And I just remember, like, I just kind of, like, took a moment and said, I'm such a pussy. Because this is most likely a once-in-a-lifetime thing that just happened to me. And I should have been willing to die in that moment just to see more. But I was so scared. And I don't want to talk about why I was scared, but, like, I was so scared that I didn't trust myself to keep my eyes closed because my body was, like, shaking a little bit as the whole experience is happening.
Yeah.
And I opened my eyes because I was scared. And I just remember thinking to myself, you're such a pussy. Like, this is one of those things you don't get. It's like one of those, like, achievements that you're not going to have anything to show for it.
Yeah.
To anybody but yourself.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get to like go out into the world and it's like, oh, you achieved that. They're never going to know unless you speak about it.
Yeah.
And I've only told one person or two people. One was in jail because he came up to me and he said, hey, you've opened it, huh? And I was trying to play dumb about it, of course. I was like, what are you talking about? Because we're just having a conversation. And he's like, you opened it, huh? And I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, you opened your third eye, didn't you? And I just like tried to play it dumb, like I didn't know what he was talking about. And then I finally was like, yeah, it happened after I ate a caramel apple.
Dang.
You know? And that's one of those things that like for me was super humbling, because when I felt like I had lost, it's like the energy surrounding me had protected me.
Yeah.
You know? And like even going to jail, I felt super protected in jail. You know, I had this guy named Money. His name was Money. He was like an OG, you know? And I had a panic attack in jail.
Yeah.
And before that, like, Money was like, you need anything, you come directly to me. Don't talk to anybody. Don't ask anybody for shit. You come talk to me, I'll get it for you. You know, because like some people, I learned this the hard way. Like I was trying to trade one of my lunches for a ramen soup. And he was like, bro, I almost fought you for trying to like ask me for a soup. I don't know you like that. We don't talk like that. I know that like we all converse, but I don't know you like that. So don't ever ask me for some shit. You know? And Money was like, you need anything, you come to me. You don't go to anybody else. I got everything you want. You just come talk to me. You're hungry, you come to me, I'll get you what you want. You know? And when I was having my panic attack in there, because I was like, what the hell is happening to me? What's going on in my life? I'm going to find Money because I'm like, Money, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm breathing heavy as fuck. And I struggle to breathe in general.
Yeah.
I'm hyperventilating.
Dang.
And he's like, you got to calm down. You just need to go sit down. Just sit down, take a moment, breathe, get yourself together. You're going to be all right. And I'm like, not having it. You know when like you trust somebody enough that you have an attitude, you know? And I'm like, Money, this shit ain't happening, bro. I'm losing it.
Yeah.
You know, and this guy, one of the correctional officers or whatever, comes to check on me, and I push him. I like it was like a gentle like push and punch at the same time, you know, because I'm too pussy to really swing on a motherfucker right now. And you know, so then like I get tackled, they tase me, take me to isolation, and I had to go to Boulder jail because I had a whole thing down there or up there. And I was like, fuck, like I guess I'm not gonna see Money ever again, you know? And then I come back to El Paso County and Money and I end up in the same bay again. But that was like the most comforting thing, bro, was just having him, because like he almost beat my ass in there too, though, because he was like, bro, you're on bullshit. I know you've never done this before. You've never been in here. This is how you move in here. I'm gonna beat your ass if I got to show you again. Like this is how you speak to people. This is how this is how you operate in here. Like, I know you're green to this. You've never done this. Like, we all know you ain't even supposed to be in this bitch, but this is how you got to operate while you're here. Like, I'm not going to tell you again. You know? And like when I came back to El Paso County, Money was like, it's good to see you. You know, I know you be having panic attacks and shit, but let's not do that again. You know? No, real shit. And that's when I was like, damn, like, you know, I feel safe as fuck. Like, you know, and like, I was like, I know this isn't a forever thing. It sucks that I'm in here. But like, even in here, like, people making sure that I'm straight. You know, people are making sure that I'm good. Like, because they're going to know what you did and what you didn't do. They're going to find out. You know, and they're like, we know your ass is too green to be in here.
Yeah.
You shouldn't even be in this
Yeah.
in this situation. You did it to yourself, but you shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm in there with people who are shooting mofos for drugs and all kinds of crazy stuff, you know?
Dang.
And like, they were all like, dude, you're gonna be fine, you know?
Yeah.
And so, yeah, bro, like, it's just moments like that where I'm just like, damn, like, my life could have been on a completely different course, you know? And it's like, you feel special because you make yourself special. In some ways, that's kind of how, like, it goes sometimes. Some people roll out of bed and they're special. But there are also times where you have to make yourself special.
In what sense? Like, you have no purpose unless you, like, you set that? Or that meaning, I guess?
So, the way I would explain it, anyone can become special. Anybody. It may be harder for some people. It may be easier for some people.
Yeah.
You know? And the way I explain it is whether you can be special through the way you make people feel, you know, making somebody feel special by being so attentive to them.
Yeah.
You know, you put 100 people in a room and you pick them and you go directly to them, that they may think, why of all people did you come straight to me?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it could be just the fact that you saw them and there was something about them that drew you to them.
Yeah.
And then you lean into that. You took the action to go to them, right? And now you've given them complete attention. That's special of you.
I see.
To do that.
Interesting.
But it makes them feel special.
I see. But then you, on the flip side, you can make yourself feel special.
Yes.
I see. Okay. Yeah. Like, you make yourself feel seen. It comes down to that scene, right?
Right.
You'd say it.
But it's through making someone else also feel seen.
I see. Interesting.
So it's not necessarily, it's about both of you, but one has to make a move to the other to get them to feel that way.
Yeah.
You know? Like, being adopted is a very special thing.
Yeah.
Specifically for me and the way that I was adopted. You know? I've always known that. Because when I was a kid, and I've told, you know, there was one person that I kept telling this dream to now that I remember.
Yeah.
But like, when I was a kid, I had a dream of me playing with a golden dog in a white background.
Interesting. Yeah.
I swear to God.
Dang.
I come to America, we get a golden retriever, and I'm playing with a golden retriever in the snow.
Yeah.
You don't make that shit up.
You don't.
You know what I mean?
I do.
And another part of it was like getting adopted from Africa, where, you know, I was roaming. I was out just roaming about, you know. But I get adopted and I live in Monument. You know where Monument is?
Yeah, I live around there.
Yeah, I lived in Pageantry. You know where Prairie Winds?
It's familiar.
It's right in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. I'm familiar with that.
You know what I'm saying?
I think so. but it's nice. It's blessed.
Bro, you're telling me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And my friend, his name is Josh Grosbeck, right?
Okay.
We like when he comes back to Colorado, we were driving through our neighborhood. And we were talking about just how special that neighborhood was. You know, because we literally, like, it's crazy, like, when you have these moments come back full circle.
Yeah.
And him and I were like, he was the one, like, we're talking about, and we're like, bro, look at where we got to grow up. Where I remember I used to walk 10 minutes across a big ass open plain of grass to get to you, 15 minutes to get to you. And he was like, bro, like, when we're kids, we just think this is life. This is just what our life is living in Monument, Colorado. And I'm thinking about the fact that in Africa, like, I'm going to this body of water and I'm fishing with my hands. I'm like, you used to step on fish in like the muddy water, and it like poked the bottom of your feet, and then you'd go, oh, that's a fish. So then you have to literally like squat down under the water.
Yeah.
Put your hand around your leg, grab the fish, you pick it up, and you put it in like a bucket.
Yeah, yeah.
Or you take a net, two people, one has the net on one side, the other has the other side, and then you like walk your way to land, and that's how you caught fish.
Oh my God.
Right? I come to America, bro, I'm snowboarding every weekend.
Oh my God.
We have a condo.
Yeah.
I'm doing Boy Scouts.
Yeah.
I'm going to church on Sundays.
Yeah.
And it's a barbecue. It seemed like like my adopted dad was smoking meat every Sunday, and my adopted mom was whipping up something every Sunday. And if we're in the summertime, we're more down here. In the winter, bro, like, we barely spend time down here on the weekends because we're always skiing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? How
do.
quickly my life flipped.
It's absurd.
It's freaking absurd, bro. And even being in this yoga studio now. Because I have a lot of vivid memories of what my life was like. And that's one of those things where it was like, for me personally, I wasn't very good at speaking the tribal languages in Ghana and Africa. I wasn't good at speaking those languages. I used to switch mid-sentence to English. And I remember one time my friend was like, why do you keep doing that? Like, why do you keep switching mid-sentence to English? And I was like, I don't know, bro. Like, I come here, love all my English classes, felt super comfortable speaking English. Or like, there was one person that I mimicked when I was trying to learn to speak English. I'm not going to name him, but I remember, like, I would constantly mimic this guy and the way he spoke English. Because he was in my vicinity all the time. Like,
I sound like him. Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think I sound like him now, because like you develop into your own style. But like when I first got to America, the way he spoke is how I would try to speak, you know?
Yeah. But
yeah, like for me now, I'm like, you know, I used to just be like, why me? Out of all the kids in Africa, why did I get this opportunity to come to Monument, Colorado, bro? That's what I'm saying. It wasn't just like anywhere in America. And like, I didn't need to go to like a billionaire's home. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what I needed.
Yeah, yeah.
Like, everything I needed, I got.
Yeah. Yeah. You had food all the time.
All the time.
Go to the pantry.
Bro,
there's always something.
Fruit snacks, Nutella, dog.
Literally.
Bro, I'm doing up Nutella and crepes. Like,
yeah.
You know, like, and all these extravagant things.
Dang.
No lie, bro. And just like, even the house we lived in was incredible. And, you know, when you start fucking off is when you start to question a lot of shit. When you're being a total idiot is when you start to go, you start to like do a lot of what's going on. You know, then you feel bad that you're fucking up this opportunity. You know, like even with my job, I got so freaking lucky with my job. I'm serious, bro. Most people would probably have to go to college and then like present a resume to get that job. I went in to see my cousin, bro. And I got asked some questions. What are you doing right now? I was like, well, I'm going to school for business and communications, and I'm just got hired at the Apple store. And then they were like, do you want an internship? And that was my in for the job.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
the amount of breaks I've gotten in my life,
It's ridiculous.
it's ridiculous as freaking hell, dude. And I'm like, Josh, you have gotten every lucky break damn near possible in your entire life.
Yeah.
You got to grow up in Africa, so your mental makeup is a little differently. You see America through a different lens. You know what I mean? Like when you're born in America, and even when I was starting to turn a little bit to like getting comfortable in America,
Yeah.
you know,
I think I know. Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
because it's like when you speak to people who are not from America, and you notice just the difference in attitude, whether male or female.
Yeah.
You know? And it's like, I'm an American citizen. I wouldn't want to be born in America.
You wouldn't?
No. Because that changes my complete, my viewing experience of life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm born and raised right here in Colorado, and it's hard for me to be grateful because, I mean, I look out and I see so much that I have, and I see that all these people that are less fortunate have had so much taken away from them and all these different things. If they've worked through it, they've developed so much more character, so much more. They're just better people. And so, because I haven't had the opportunity to be tested in that different way, I have to try to grow that character in different ways. You know what I mean?
I do.
It's do. And it's almost harder.
And that's why I like, as you know, because one of the things that I'm working on is being decisive. No more indecisive action. Because to me, what happens when you're indecisive is you leave it up to the universe to decide for you. You leave it up to other people, and you get fucked over. When you're not being decisive and making decisions and going, you get fucked.
Interesting.
You know? And one of the things that I was like, I know I had my phase of like bombshelling myself, basically breaking myself down. Now I need to be decisive in the way I treat myself. While, you know, because it's like when you mess up and then you try to overcorrect to the extreme other side, you know, in your behavior, in your treatment of people and all of that, you know?
It gets worse. Yeah.
And I was like, the number one thing I need to keep in mind all the time is gratitude.
Yeah.
You know, because regardless of what I felt was unfair, at the end of the day, I got what I needed.
Yeah.
I've always gotten what I've needed and more. And that's effing facts, bro.
Yeah. Dang.
I could die today and have zero regrets. And I truly believe that to my core.
Yeah.
Because I think to myself, how many people have gotten to experience all the joys, the thrills, the sadness, the frustrations, all of these things that make us human and the human experience?
Yeah.
How many people have truly gotten to experience that, have ventured out? I've ventured into madness and I came out of it. I actually made it out of hearing voices, literally, and listening to so much music every single second of the day to drown out the fact that I was hearing voices all the time. because I was literally in psychosis.
Dang.
And I was freaking delusional, and my ego blew up bigger than the earth. And then I made it out of that.
Dang.
That's real shit, bro. When people talk to you about the ego and having ego deaths,
Yeah.
sit your bitch ass down is what jail did for me. You're doing too much.
Huh?
I'm serious, bro. Like I stared madness in the face when I'm in a jail cell and I'm hearing voices, and I know I'm hearing voices and I'm sweating, but I can't scream because I felt like if I screamed, I'm giving into the madness that's happening. So I just have to stomach it and pray and hope that it just goes away. And knowing that you did all of this to yourself. Nobody did this to you.
Yeah.
Nobody did this to you. Nobody forced you to trip acid, however many days in a row I kept taking a tab a day.
Dang.
Yeah. And then you get to make it out of that, and you come out even better than when you were before you were ever in it.
Yeah. Survived.
And it's like, bro, you got everything. And now you look at the world, there's zero fear, really. There's just a matter of making moves. There's no fear. It's like, you ever play chess?
Yeah.
You don't play shit. Like, for me, the reason I used to go to chess club in 6th grade, and I loved chess. There was no fear of losing when I was playing chess. There was a matter of making moves and try again.
Wow. Interesting.
So
you're saying we've lost our fear as a society? Or just as the American culture or the world?
I think I know, like, financially things seem like they're in a bad place, right? But now this is the view that I've had for the last like 8 months.
Okay.
I don't worry about financial shit anymore.
Yeah.
I don't.
You can't. What's gonna happen is gonna happen. If that's the one thing I've learned, is I have no control over what's in my bank account. I have control over how I spend it, but I don't control how fast it leaves, how fast it stays, how fast it grows.
And bro, when I tell you that, like, that's where jail has taught me so much, I was like, as long as I'm a free guy, I'll take care of everything else. One by one, fuck a credit score. You can build a credit score.
Yeah.
You can't get back 10, 11 months sitting in a box.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I did.
If
time is...
Do you see what I'm saying?
Time is the most valuable thing you have. People say time is money. No, time is more valuable.
Without a doubt, bro. Like, and as soon as I came to that conclusion of, I've got probation fees, I'm in debt to the bank, I've got student loans, I went to the hospital once, they charged me $400, and I was like, bam, I'm still a free man. I can't go to jail for this shit, right? Bet. We'll knock it down one by one. If it takes me 10 years, fuck it. Not that it will, But I was like, I'm a free dude. I've been spending bread like crazy left and right. And somehow my probation fees just keep going down.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious, bro. I went to my probation check-in. My probation officer's like, all right, so this is where we're at. You're doing everything you need to do. The only thing left for us to do to get you out of here is just paying off your probation fees. Right? I paid off my Boulder stuff completely. That's done.
Yeah.
I got my tax returns, which was like $1,300 something from federal. And they took that directly, which went straight into El Paso County.
Wow.
And then I go to my probation check-in, and my probation officer's like, well, they're charging you 2 probation fees, supervision fees, because they charge you to be on probation, to supervise you on probation, you get charged.
Oh, my goodness.
So my probation officer was like, all right, I'm going to talk to my supervisor, see if we can get one of these taken off, because you don't need to be paying for 2 supervision fees.
Yeah.
Because all of mine is centralized out of El Paso County.
I see. Okay.
So literally I leave, right? I leave, I'm in the car, and I get a call, and he's like, yep, so we're going to take $1,200 off. And I've been barely making payments on my probation fees. I've been doing all this shit with this, buying stuff this.
Yeah.
You know, because my philosophy was, I know that I'm going to get off of probation. I'd rather put my money into somewhere where one day I could just cash a check, bam, one-time check and be done with all that shit.
Yeah.
And my probation officer's like, yep, we took off $1,200, so now you're down to $1,000 for El Paso County. Come August, you know, then he's like, you can pay off restitution, which is about $700, and then you can just be on unsupervised probation, right? And I've only had a year and something change on probation. So within like a year and 5 months, I could go to the courts and terminate my probation completely, and I could leave the country. And
oh my gosh,
Denver County, yes, hey, you've got like $1,300, $1,400 in probation fees, and my probation ends in August for that.
Wow.
And I've just been out here spending money, and it's like, so you're telling me all I got to pay is $1,400 and $1,000 to El Paso County? I know, like, that's money, because I also had to pay like $2,000 for a court class that I was taking, and it was $40 every single week. Oof. And you have to take 5 classes a week for like 8 months, I think, 8 or 9 months. That to get off probation, I had to take that class.
And you had to pay the money.
And I had to, and the thing is, it's you know, this is where it's a real trip, is you don't get off of probation and they don't let you out the class until you pay the full amount. So if you're behind like $800, you have to keep going to those classes, and the money piles up.
Really?
Yeah, it's not a, hey, you took the 36 classes that you had to take. It's you need to pay off everything in full before, even if you get to your 36 classes, you still have to pay it off completely before you're allowed to leave probation.
That's messed up.
Leave the class. Right. So it's, if you're not keeping up with payments, they just keep taxing you. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, I've still just got money. And money's just been going out. Mm-hmm. And I was like, okay, I'm going to stop worrying about, you know, I talked to my therapist about this, and like debt, and how people literally, debt cripples people, like mentally.
Yeah.
And I was like, shoot, the 2 things I took from jail: focus on your life. No matter what other people are doing, you need to live your life, because when you're in a box, nobody's going to stop their life for you. So stop worrying about what other people have got going on and live your shit. And number 2, as long as you're a free man, you can do whatever you want. As long as you're not doing shit or putting yourself in a position that's detrimental to put you in a box, everything else can be figured out. You can build a credit score. You know, you can get out of debt no matter how long it takes.
Yeah.
You get out of debt when you die if you want to do it that way.
Yeah.
Not that it's smart. You know, and my shit is like, total, I'm probably in debt like 15 grand, maybe less.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm like, who gives a It's fucking 15 grand, bro. I'm serious, bro. Like, let's keep it a buck.
Yeah.
If it takes you 10 years, who gives a fuck? I'm 24 right now. At 34, and I'm out of debt. I've built this. I've built a vlog channel. I've built a cooking channel. I've built, you know, a podcast channel. I've built multiple streams of income. I'm working on coming up with a custom tie-dye hoodie clothing brand. Yeah. I've built all these things. They're gonna hit. The last thing I need to worry about is money I owe to a bank. It'd be different if I owed a person money, but to a bank, I mean, the only relationship you have with a bank is your credit score.
Yeah.
You really think about it? They don't really give a fuck how nice of a guy you are.
Yeah.
Hey, what's your credit score look like? Can we trust you to pay money back? Your credit score will let us know that. Because if you're paying your debts back, that means your credit score goes
up. Yeah.
Right? It's different with people. You maintain. People can get you out of shit.
It's a relationship, yeah.
I don't give a fuck about my relationship with the bank, because my credit score is my relationship with the bank.
Yeah. Interesting. But you can always build that back.
That's what I'm saying.
Interesting.
Like relationships with people, once they crumble, they may never get to the level they used to be at.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like once I literally had that moment and it all hit me, bro, I said, as long as I'm a free bird, I can fly wherever I want. I will take care of myself. I've been given the tools, the skills, and I've watched a lot of men.
Yeah.
That's one of the things that low key, bro, I really do a lot. I just watch people.
Me too.
You know? Like,
you can learn.
I be on bullshit sometimes.
Yeah.
But just watch people, bro.
Yeah.
You pick up a lot of shit. Even the way that, like, I try to explain myself comes from my adopted father. I swear to God. He may be the smartest man I know. Personally, I think he is probably the smartest person I know. And there's one thing that he said that stuck with me, and it was confirmed by the next guy, was books. You know, like, he was like, you know, you just gotta read a lot of books, dude.
Yeah.
That was the one thing that he said that stuck with me. He was like,
yeah,
get into books. And then I watched someone else who
lived it.
Who they just liked reading books, you know?
Yeah.
Because like whenever I was a kid, he was always leading the Zoom meetings, like his work meetings. He was always leading them. Or he was always like presenting, teaching, you know?
He was in
And I got beef with dude. Like I got beef. Or I used to. Now I'm just like, if we sit down, like, I'm not looking at you from the perspective of a child anymore.
Yeah.
You know, like, we're just going to have a man-to-man conversation.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to have to humble myself, you know. Like, I have a much easier time forgiving him. But I'm also like, fam, like, I'm a man now. There are no excuses at 24 years old. There are not. You're not, I just turned 21. You know what I mean? Like, remember when you were 16 and you heard somebody say they're 25? You're like, damn.
You got kids and grandkids?
You know what I'm saying? You're like, oh, you a grown-ass man now.
Yeah.
You got kids.
Yeah.
I don't have kids, thank goodness, you know? But it's like, you know, you learn a lot more from watching people than you do what they tell you.
It's true. Something my youth pastor says is more is caught than taught.
Fact.
And it's so true. I mean, and that's how I've learned to be a leader. It's not about how I talk, how I like what I think and what I say and all these different things. It's how I present myself, how I interact with other people. It's what I do when no one is looking, because that carries over to when people are looking. You know?
Let me ask you, so what does leadership mean to you?
Leadership? I think, it goes so deep and foundational, but I think fundamentally it is setting the standard. It's when you walk into a room, people look to you to see how they react. You say, okay, now I'm going to walk into this environment, which is just chaotic right now, but I'm outside of this environment, and as I come in, it is calm. It's just it's peaceful now. And people look to me for the affirmation that, oh, am I doing the right thing? All these different things. Now, something that I've learned from being in a relationship is that to be a good leader, you have to know how to listen. You have to know how to listen to your followers, because if you think, oh, okay, I'm coming into a leadership position and I got to know everything, how to do this. That's a very prideful, arrogant way to enter any sort of leadership position. What you got to have the humility to do is step in there and be like, okay, like, as soon as I make a mistake, I'm going to own it. I'm going to say, yes, I'm capable of doing that again, but tell me how I can do better. And sometimes, like, it's not even about them telling you. It's about you listening to them. Like, it doesn't have to be any sort of verbal communication. But yeah.
So to piggyback off of that, that's a great thing you said, because back to that Jeff Bezos thing.
Yeah.
when he was talking about like meetings, he always speaks last.
Interesting.
I thought that was so sick, bro, because he said if he goes first, he's likely to change the ideas of the people who are speaking after him, who are below him, because they see him as the top person in the room, that their good ideas, they could just squash it because they heard him speak first. And so they may put their ideas away in fear of what he's going to think. So he always speaks last. And he lets, or the most senior person in the room speaks last so that they can hear all the ideas from everyone else.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your best ideas aren't coming from the leadership team. It's coming from people below.
Oh, absolutely.
Or not necessarily below, but there's a pecking order in everything.
Well, exactly. People that, I mean, yeah, exactly.
Right.
They're under your influence.
Yes. People under you. Right. So he spoke about he always likes to speak last because it encourages everyone to share their ideas. You and I are bottom pole.
Yeah.
You're not going to be concerned with the ideas that I'm coming up with because you're focused on trying to come up with your own ideas to present to leadership.
Yeah.
You're not going to be dogging my ideas or vice versa.
Them or anything. Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? Which then allows for a nice, cohesive environment because everybody feels heard.
Yeah.
Because then he can go, okay, so can you expound further on what you were talking about with your ideas? Because I like what you're thinking.
Yeah.
Let's look more into that.
Everybody's spoken. That's interesting. I like that.
I loved it, bro.
I'm going to put that in practice.
No, real stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, is that, And I just went to listen to this guy named John Maxwell speak.
Yeah.
You know who that is?
I know who that is.
Bro, put it there.
I think he's Christian, actually. Yeah.
Yes, bro. Yeah. I cried, bro.
Really?
I'm in a suit jacket and a tie, bro. And I'm crying as I'm listening to this guy speak.
Yeah.
So one of the things he talked about was a gratitude experience. And then he also had 5 things, it may have been more than 5, but the one thing, there was 5 things to do. And then he also talked about what makes a great leader.
Yeah.
And he talked about if you're trying to get places, you need to have great leadership and great mentors. And he said there's high road leadership, middle tier leadership, and low tier leadership. High road leadership always puts before them the needs of everybody else.
Yeah.
That is one of the most important qualities of high road leadership. I bought his book. I bought one for me and my brother.
Yeah.
He said the highest form of leadership is helping your team and their agenda. Because a lot of times leadership teams tend to make everything about their agenda and what they need to fulfill.
Yes.
Right? But and I took something special away from when I worked for Sanity Solutions. It's a company in Denver. I was in my room. We had a Zoom meeting and he talked about this is not the time to let go of people. Is like when we're in COVID.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is not the time to let go of people. This is the time to invest in people.
Wow.
And that was very powerful to me.
Yeah.
And no, real shit.
Wow.
I'm listening to John Maxwell and he's talking about if you help your team achieve their agenda, that is your agenda. Yeah. Right? If you're a sales guy and you need to hit a quota and you come to me, or we'll switch it around. You're the CEO. I'm on the sales team. And I'm saying, hey, Jason, or I'm saying, hey, Ethan, I need help to achieve this goal.
Yeah.
To close all these deals. Can you help me? And you go, what do we need to help you succeed? Because if you hit your goals and everybody else on the sales team hits their goals, guess what that is? My agenda. because my job as a CEO is to make sure that the company runs smoothly.
Mm-hmm.
We want to make money, but for all of us to make money, for the company to make money, I need to make sure that you're making money.
The secret's in the little things. It's in the little guy, you know, it's where it all comes down to. Yeah. Yeah.
And I literally was like, it was mind boggling to me, bro. It
Yeah.
really was, because it's so true.
Yeah.
Because you as a CEO, there's only so much you can do.
What I think is really interesting about that too is that, I mean, you still have to come to the CEO. You still have to ask for help. You still, as a follower, have to humble yourself and say, like,
I need help.
I need help.
I didn't do that when I was working. I just kept my mouth shut and just didn't talk about the fact that, hey, like, I'm struggling a little bit. I told Sheila, that was the lady that hired me. I was like, yeah, I probably need to go to therapy. You know, and like, she was trying to help me. She was like trying to point me in all these directions to go get help, you know? But like, leadership is also recognizing when your team needs you, because there's a bit of an intimidation factor of going to leadership.
Yeah. Which comes into that nonverbal listening, where it's like, it connects. Like, oh, I see. Like, you're not asking me for help, but I can, like, I'm present enough with my team that I know you need help, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I bought his book, bro, and it hadn't even been released yet. I think it comes in May 8th.
Okay. I'm gonna have
so
to check it out.
Dude, it's called High Road Leadership, I think.
Okay. The John Maxwell.
So fire, bro.
Okay.
And that what he's talking about is in his book.
Okay.
Like the High Road Leadership book.
It's really good.
Like middle tier leadership, low tier leadership. And then he talked about 5 things to do, right? I think the first thing he said was put behind you what you can't do, put in front of you what you can do.
Interesting.
That was one of the things. You could spend time going over everything you don't have and what you can't work with.
Yeah.
Instead, flip it around and go, what do I have? What can I make with this? What can I do right now?
There's always something that no matter where you are in life, you can always be working towards your vision, your goal, your calling, whatever you really want to call it. There's always something you can do right now, even if it's completely uncorrelated. Like, I mean, me going to college is not what I want. I don't want to be in an engineering firm the rest of my life. But the relationships I can be pursuing, the conversations I can be having, that's me building towards that future goal. And it never looks like what it feels like in that initial moment. But there's always something you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That shit hit me, bro.
Yeah.
Because, you know, there's multiple things that I'm trying to do all at once.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, stop worrying about what you don't have. Instead, just put all your attention on what you can do. We had to try and figure out a time to do this.
Yeah.
You know, because you're going to school. You're trying to finish up the semester.
Yeah.
You know, I'm working. I try to stick to my regimen and routine of like, I feel like Saturdays are the only days I don't do yoga. Because I do yoga on Sundays, and Monday through Fridays, I pick a class and go to it.
Okay, yeah.
You know, and why do I do that? Because my thing is, I want to be an instructor. Yeah. You need to deepen your practice and start moving like an instructor before you become an instructor.
Yeah.
What you want to be in the future, you need to start acting like it now.
Yeah.
Right? So there was that. Then he talked about a gratitude experience, you know, and that's just basically just do something that reminds you of where you came from in terms of like humbling yourself. You know, he takes his kids back to his small town that he grew up in, and I think is it Iowa?
Maybe.
Somewhere, I think it's Iowa. You know, he's like, he always takes his grandkids back to Iowa to remind them that, hey, you know, I know you guys live this life, but keep in mind that this is what. Hello there. If you have made it all the way to the end of this podcast episode, I gravely apologize. The recording device, aka my phone, died. So we didn't catch the rest of the conversation, but we are going to make a part 2 to this podcast episode, and I will have Ethan come back on for another one. So thank you for making it all the way to the end, and we will continue the conversation in a part 2 of this podcast. Thank you so much, and I hope to catch you again on the next episode. Bye.